Welcome to RIoT Startup Spotlight, where we shine a light on the visionaries and disruptors who are shaping the future. I'm Jen Morgan, and today we bring you an exclusive interview with Janie Hughes, co-founder and CEO, and Mike Hughes, co-founder and CTO of Bingo Bard. Hi, guys. Welcome. To begin, can you tell us a little bit about your company?
Sure. Hi, Jen. Thank you so much for chatting with us. So Bingo Bard, our company, is a social bingo game. And what social bingo means, for those that maybe are not aware, is situational things that could happen. So think like a family reunion or watching a football game. So social bingo is just making a bingo card with squares for different things that would happen at those events. So our game, we curate experiences to increase engagement and just fun, really. So our main focus right now is on events and kind of going to different conferences and things like that, getting the audience engaged, getting the sponsors engaged, and really just letting everyone have a good time and have fun playing a game.
That's really cool. Can you tell me a little bit about what previous experiences or influences you had that brought you to this idea and to start this business?
Sure.
Sure. Yeah, I've been in technology for 30 years, have spent a lot of time building products for other companies and through my years of experience building event websites and messaging platforms for events. And I think at the end of the day, Janie and I just really enjoy having fun and connecting people. And we had this idea for a game, and then really kind of the more we talked to people about it, it became like an idea that it connected with everybody. And so we said, we've got all of this experience, technology and corporate wise, why don't we put this together and make a game?
Yeah, and I do some volunteer work with IGDA, which is the International Game Developers Association. And so that's just the largest professional organization worldwide of people that work in game development. And I am the chair of the local chapter here. And just through that, and I'm also Women in Games ambassador. Mike and I have been really involved in the community here, and we'll go to like co-working events with other people, other indie game developers. And they really are the ones that inspired us, just from going to those events. Like, why don't you guys make a game? Like, you're doing all this boring client stuff. Like, why don't you guys make something that's fun, that's just for you, right? So we were like, yeah, like, why don't we do that? And it kind of just has grown from there. And so it's been really fun to kind of have like a passion project where we both get to be creative and do something that we feel is bringing joy to the world, instead of, just the same boring kind of everyday thing. It's like, this is something fun. So yeah, we're really excited about it.
So, obviously, the passion behind the gaming side is there. And you all have a lot of experience around that and a lot of joy that comes from that. But like, what made you decide, hey, not only do I want to develop a game, but I want to build a business around, marketing and selling that game and, the biz dev side of it all? Like, what really drove behind that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was really organic, because in the beginning it very much was, let's just make this for ourselves and for our friends as something fun to do. And it really took some time through, again, having conversations with people, and literally every time we talk to somebody and we tell them about the game, they immediately say, "Ooh, could you make one for my book club? Ooh, could you make one for this really boring like board meeting I have once a month? Ooh, could you make one for my fantasy football draft?" And it's like, yes, we could make one for anything. And what, really kind of took it to that next level of building a business out of it was just through these conversations, we started to see actual revenue streams opening up of different ways that we could monetize it. And in the beginning, we thought of this more as a B2C type of play where we would have, so we have an AI engine prompt that will help people create a game so that, a bingo game is 24 squares and then there's like the free space in the middle, so 25 total. But coming up with 24 squares for anything is a heavy lift, right? Like, and a lot of people like maybe aren't as creative, or maybe they are creative, but they can only think of like 5 squares and they need 24. So we have this AI engine prompt that you can like put in your subject. You could say, my book club for, Game of Thrones or whatever book you're reading, and it would create relevant squares specific to that book. And then you could go in and kind of edit it and make it a little bit more personalized to your book club, or you could say, somebody shows up and just wants the drinks and hasn't read the book, or whatever it is. Um, and so that was our initial idea. And having it to where it was maybe like a subscription, to where there's a certain amount you pay per month to make X number of custom games, but then it would be free to play other people's games, or free to play games in the library, but to like create your own. And so that was kind of our initial thought. And through our participation with RIoT and this accelerator program, we've kind of pivoted to the B2B, where we're going to look more at events, where we can help people increase engagement at events. And our initial pilot for the game was at GDC, which is Game Developers Conference, which is the largest conference for people that work in game dev in North America. Um, and I was going to that already for IGDA, and what, like 6 weeks before it, and this was before we had even done like one single thing with this game, I asked Mike, I'm like, so if I make up some games, can you like throw this together before GDC so I can
Of
just try
course.
it out?
Of course I can.
Yeah, and he did. He threw it together, and I think I ended up with what, like 18 games, because I was like, I'm just gonna make one game. Can you make one game? And then I'm like, I have 18 games. Because of course I went crazy and I made them for like every different like thing, like role that people have in game dev. So I did like one for animators, one for artists, then I did like a cringe one and an icebreaker one, and so like we really got a lot of engagement with that. And we've been talking to a lot of people in events, and people seem super excited about using it for their events. So we've pivoted to that. And through RIoT, we're like, yeah, man, we have a business, right? Like,
Yeah, I just wanted to add that I've been doing this a long time, and it's easy to think I have all the answers, but I think getting in a program like RIoT really helped have some guardrails in place to really focus. And I actually told Tom, yesterday, I said, thank you for being the keeping us on track, and not getting distracted with everything, because it's easy when you're excited and you talk to people and people are excited to completely go off the rails and start doing everything. So having a program that really keeps you focused and on the straight, the path that you need to be on is great.
Sometimes in business it's easy to get have that squirrel brain, that ADHD moment of like, oh, shiny object, like let me do this. So I definitely could see that as potentially a challenge that you all have faced in your work, but I think it's also really interesting and inspiring, the like evolution of your business and how this has come from like a passion project into something you're like, oh, like this moved from B2C to B2B, and like let's explore what that looks like. Um, but like as you all have done all this and you touched on it a little bit, like what are some of those big challenges you've encountered thus far? And if you have overcome them, like tell us a little bit more about that.
you want to start?
You can jump in. I'm formulating my answer.
Yeah, well, so I think, and you really did just hit the nail on the head. We both have ADHD.
Yeah.
So probably more than other, small business owners. Although I feel like we've learned a lot of other entrepreneurs seem like they probably do as well. But yeah, so that has been a challenge. Picking a lane, right? Picking a lane has been a challenge because we do get so excited about these different things and these different ideas, and it's always easier to go do the fun creative part than it is to do the like actual real business work that you need to do. And so through like the RIoT program, we were doing our customer discovery interviews. And those have just been really eye-opening. And fortunately for us, they've mostly aligned with what our hypotheses were to begin with. So we haven't really had any like, oh no, like we didn't think that was the case. But doing work like that that's not as fun and not as exciting, it has been, I mean, I don't want to say the interviews have been a challenge, because I do like talking to people and finding out like what drives them, but doing the like the harder work or the less fun work, Has been a
Yeah, we would
challenge.
love to just kind of chat with people, and then we're like, oh yeah, we actually need to
We
ask you some
questions to
questions.
ask.
I think it's a little bit like having a boss when you're in a startup. You're like, I am the boss, but I also need a boss. And so how do I balance all of those things?
Yeah, I was gonna say about the, the shiny objects. An interesting thing is you don't realize how often you're doing it. Like
Mhm.
even when you're trying to be intentional and you come in and you kind of say, "Oh, Tom, you're gonna be proud of me. I got that." He's like, "You're still getting distracted with things." You're like, "Dang it. Like I thought we had this one." So I think it's, again, really good to have, it's easy to have confirmation bias within
Mhm.
your own team, and you're, oh yeah, yeah, we're totally doing the right thing, and somebody's like, you're getting distracted. So
Yeah.
really, really good. And one thing I also wanted to add is we are very like we love to have fun. When you start thinking about a business and capitalizing on things, immediately it comes to data, and you go, well, we said very early we don't want to be a data company. We don't want to, broker people's data. However, through this process and talking to events, we've learned that there are ways to do this to give them important information that doesn't compromise people's
Mhm.
privacy. And that's not just you know, saying that to say it, but really I think
Yeah.
that we were able to, in talking to the, the cohort and everything, see a way that we could do this, that we feel good about it and
Mhm.
not, there's always kind of a nuance to this stuff. And so I think finding that, having the help to find a way to build a viable business, but also, hold up your core values has been great.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that that's really vital. As you all have been doing this kind of work, have you come across any mentors or role models who have inspired you while you have been building your business?
Absolutely. And really so many that I feel like we could be here all day. But I'll start off with the community here. So in the Triangle area, as you know, there is such an amazing community. And I had been kind of dialed into the gaming community that is here. In addition to IGDA that I mentioned, there's a local group called Triangle Interactive Arts Collective. And they have an office space in RTP Research Triangle Park in the Frontier Building. And they host like monthly playtest nights where indie game devs can come out and play test their games for just the entire community. And they're open to the public, they're free. Anybody can come out, anybody can show their game. And they also run yearly an event called Oak City Indie Games, which we are going to be sort of debuting our official game there on October 18th. So we're really excited about that. And that again is an event that's open to the public, and that's actually going to be at Wake Tech Community College here. Is the venue because it's a much bigger venue, so it'll have more room for people. But specifically there, Michael Schmidt and Steph Briles have just been so encouraging and supportive of us as we've been through this journey and have given us all kinds of just tips of like, oh, what if you did this? Oh, what if you did that? So they've been really amazing. Also, Ashley Brazil, who's in that, she has a desk in their office, and she is the co-founder of another gaming company called Bigger Boss Games. And they do like UEFN stuff, but she's been really helpful. And then I will let Mike talk about two of our biggest mentors as well have been Mike's dad and his wife, Alice, but I will let you talk
Yeah,
about
so
them.
they started a business. I mean, my dad was pretty old and they were in the insurance industry. And so they kind of went through all the steps and did it, not from like, oh, we know how to do this. They were very kind of
Intentional.
intentional, and
Mhm.
they, went through and did SBA loans. And so they've really kind of helped us even with the SBA loan. They said, hey, we got a loan kind of as a we didn't really need it, so we just started paying it back, but kind of had it,
Just in case. Yeah.
looking back on that, maybe we would have done it differently. And so it's been good to have somebody that has built a company and exited. They're big believers in like E-Myth, and they had given me that book, great entrepreneur book. And I would say, other than that, from a mentor perspective, Steve Blank is a VC that I think has always kind of, I think we use some of his stuff in the program. But I always like his advice of get out of the building, talk to people, when they start getting excited about what you're telling them, you're on the right track. And I've always kind of held that close to my heart, but I've never really done it. And so now that we're in this process, it's kind of we got to put it to the test and get out and do it. So
Yeah, and I would say also everybody in the Riot group
yeah,
has like just in the few weeks. I mean, I think we're week 5 this week,
yeah,
and I am just floored at the amount of awesome information that we've gotten and just help and support from everyone on the team. And it's really and the other people in the cohort, the other members of our cohort have all been so supportive and all of us have been helping each other and giving advice about different things with our businesses, even though we're all doing very different businesses. It's been really awesome.
yeah, I agree.
That's so incredible and wonderful to hear all of those role models and mentors and your fellow cohort members being there and helping you and supporting you all along the way. Um,
Yeah.
as we get towards the end of our interview here today, what advice or information or anything you would want to pass on to aspiring entrepreneurs or future startup founders based on your own experiences and lessons learned thus far?
Yeah, so I would say number one is engage with your community. Get out there, get involved in the community, just meet people, talk to people, I would say is number one.
Yeah, I think a lot of people in the startup world talk about luck, and I think that people are lucky, but I think you can also increase your odds the more you talk to people and engage and do those things. So, it's very hard to have a successful business, if you're in your house all the time. And I would say also it's kind of a well-known thing. It's like the last 20% is the hardest, and a lot of people get to 80%. So get into some kind of program that's going to help you get over that line when you run out of fuel, that somebody's going to say, hey, take a break for a couple of days and come back. That's really hard to do for yourself, is say, hey, take a break, you're fine. Like, so I think having some kind of support group to really kind of like, let you ride your ups and help you through the downs is critical in this.
Yeah.
That's some really great advice to give. Definitely the getting out there in the community and then using that community to support you. Definitely a good piece of advice to give to folks.
Yeah.
Uh, that's all the questions that we have. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us today. I hope that you have a great rest of your day.
Yeah, thank
Thanks.
you so much, Jen. It was good talking to you.